Hey guys, welcome to another video, and the aim of this series is to look at a colony evolving over time. So I've basically saved this game at a number of stages so I can kind of load those and reflect on how things have worked, maybe go over some tips and just show you how something can grow in game. So we are on Rich Explorer setting and basically coming to a dry, cold world where there's very little life. We've got some muffalo over there, but they're transitional and they're often not there actually on this setting. We've got timber wolves. They appear and do damage. And you can see here we have Jupiter and Clara. Clara has joined. Jupiter is the original explorer. As a character, she's pretty damn good. Mining, construction, social, research. There's a bit of everything there. And in fact, it's only cooking she's not really that great at. And having said that, she really doesn't. She's incapable of nothing. So she's really a really good character in the first instance, but they generally take quite a while to get together, don't they, when you're randomizing it. But you can see here I've decided what I'm going to do is I've taken this little valley here and I've walled it off so we can create some space. Things aren't looking pretty at this stage, but I've made sure I've got some storage areas. I've got a little refrigerator room here, and we've got some power source over this zone with a couple of sentries. You get the sentry if you do the Rich Explorer, so that's very handy. And I'm planning on building in here some crops, because there's not a lot going on. There's some raspberry bushes and whatnot over this way, but there's not a lot of food, so that's obviously going to be priority, so don't starve. We're right on the edge here. If we go to the world view, just hopefully that pings through. Here we go. Takes a moment. We're right on the edge of the ice cap here, in the middle of nowhere. So I tried to go for something really challenging, and the aim is to build into the mountain over this side. So this is the second stage where I saved it, and you can see we've got a bedroom here. Now this was, as I said before, an area that I was going to use for crops, but I changed my mind and moved it down to this zone. The reason being, you can't grow crops on rocks, obviously. that was stupid. Anyhow, this is the space where I am growing my crops and potatoes, and they're doing very well there. Although, obviously, having two heaters, because it's minus 32 outside, is quite a drain on my supplies of electricity. But we seem to be okay. We've put some more wind turbines in, and we've just had an attack, as you can see here. Some bandits have come in. We've fended those off. These two turrets seem to do a fairly good job for quite some time. We've got the same basic structure here, but I'm building into the mountain. Now, this is where I'm going to build the base. So you can see I dug in, but what we basically had is a massive area revealed, which is fine in a sense that it saves time on all the mining that you potentially could be doing. But these two, Clara's injured as well. She suffered an injury. She's got a gunshot wound to the rib by our own turret. The hideous environment is a big factor at this point, and unfortunately it's going to be for a little while longer until we can get things really sorted in this space here. So this is the third save, and you can see we still just have Jupiter and Clara. And in fact, I have a policy generally not to take on too many people at the early stages of the game. It's difficult to feed them, basically. And if you get someone who has some unfortunate traits, then it can cause problems early on. So I keep it simple with a couple of people, and you can see I'm sectioning off different rooms at the moment. This is just a temporary situation. I'm also doubling up the walls to try and improve the insulation in the building, because it's so cold where the depths of winter, it's minus 51 outside, and we're still struggling with influxes of bandits. As you can see here, some other bandits have come in. We're stripping them of all their goods. Hopefully better sell those soon. The crops are going well, though. They're sustaining the group. When we've got the little fridge here, you can see we've got meat and we've got potatoes in that zone. Centrally, we've now got a table and some chairs and a heater. And within this room, it's currently minus 13, so it's still not good enough. And you can see Clara here you can see her breath as she's sleeping, so she will not be happy about that. Although Clara actually has a trait where she likes an ugly bedroom, which actually has been a real benefit at this stage, because any negatives or minuses to their social outlook is really bad when it's cold and a winter like this. So the first thing you'll notice with this next save is we have more people. Valerie, Kyato, and Javier. And now, these actually have just wandered in and joined the colony, most of these guys. So there's not a lot I could do about it at the time, so I've had to accommodate them. Now, thankfully, Clara and Kyato have formed a relationship which frees up one bed, if you like. So they're sharing a bed. I've had to put Valerie in the medical centre, which actually is quite warm in there, 38 degrees, so that needs to be cooled down. And I haven't had a lot of time to actually develop the structure down here yet. So they're all packed in up here. We've had some more attacks, bandits. You can see all the loot that's dropped here. Strength in numbers has helped, though. So we have all these boys armed, all these boys and girls armed, and when we do get attacked, I'm lining them up, and it's actually proven to be very effective. So you can see up here, there's been a lot of deaths in the last hour or so. And in fact, Jupiter and Javier have also formed a relationship, but I don't know whether that actually lasts. So that's really handy. That means that they can share the beds, and it makes them happy that they're in a relationship. So more people at this stage, but less base development, and it really needs to happen now. So we're quite a stage on here. We've got Dweeb as well has joined, and he's quite good at crafting, so we let her, I should say, her get on with the crafting, which is really handy. Now, the base has moved on quite a bit at this stage. You can see here we're starting to get an idea of how I want things laid out. Bedrooms centrally around a social area, and then expand it out with other rooms that you'll see take form very soon. We've still got Jupiter, the original founder there, and if we look at the skills, this really shows you how the skills can evolve. And her construction's now 15, her mining is now 14, and so her shooting has gone up as well. That's been her main focus, constructing, and we want to get her constructing up to 20 if possible. So whatever we're producing is going to be of the highest quality. That's really important. If you can start making things that are masterworks, then it really does improve people's mood. Clara is actually in a similar situation. Her construction is 13. She's very good with animals as well. And in fact, we do have a few animals now. We have huskies, a wolf, and a bear. And the great thing about that range of animals is they can haul. So as we move on in the game, and we're mining outside in the world and collecting all the materials, the huskies are hustling and getting out into the world and bringing that stuff back to the storage areas here. Much of this isn't regulated temperature-wise, so we're having to make sure everybody's got warm clothing. They've got parkas. I'm having to put fires up sometimes. At the moment we're in the middle of summer, so it's not so bad. Even though it's -4 outside, it's a good temperature in the base. And I've also got a prisoner cell block up here. Although I've got to say, with this game, I haven't had a policy of capturing people. I often find, actually, that it's quite a negative experience for them having prisoners. Prisoners die, especially if you don't regulate the temperature like I'm not in this room here. And people get really upset about that. And it hangs around on their social profile for quite a long time. Now you can see here I'm smoothing a lot of the floors. I actually decided in the end not to smooth the floors because it does take a long time. But I thought I'd go for it and see what happened. And generally, it's taken a big step on. And I'm also wanting to explore deeper into the mountain to see if I can find any secret chambers. So we can see here that we have beds now in those bedrooms, and there's 2 tiers of bedrooms. We've still got the same 6 people, but we're now moving them into these zones. Now I haven't actually allocated the beds as yet, so they're still up here in the initial base, the temporary base. But the reason being, I haven't actually set up the heaters down here yet. So these rooms are still minus 32. Whereas up here we've got a fairly good 14 degrees, 13 degrees. It is a question of getting power to these locations. So I'm having to set up the power networks, which is always a pain. You can see they're running through the walls. I try and run them through the walls so that they don't see them, basically. If they're in the walls, it doesn't affect their social mood as much. And what I'm also doing here is I'm trying to set up separate power supplies. Now, if we get a short circuit up here, so the power cables explode or whatever, we won't lose all the power. So this is a separate power supply down here, this one here. I'm going to expand it out and move it in. This little zone here is going to be our kill box, where we set up some turrets, so if we get attacked, people come in through this gap here, and then they will get pummeled in that zone here. The social space is developing internally here, and we're also thinking about a hospital, this room here with the sterile tiles laid down, all needs to be cleaned. And out here, these are meant to be, again, separate power supplies, so if we have any problems we can at least keep the heaters going. That's the key. If it gets cold in here, people are going to die, so we need basically to make sure they've got parkers on, which we have to do anyway, which I do anyway, and then we've got these heaters connected up to these. Now I don't know whether these are going to work out. It's just a trial. We'll see how that develops, and we're going to have other rooms expanding out this way where we can store items. Now, one of the things that has changed, I mean, not recently, but over the time, is if you get bandits, they will try and steal your precious items. So I'm trying to store those away in these zones. Whether it's productive on the amount of time they have to run from one spot to another, I don't know. I'm trying to assess how this affects, whether this run from outside here over to these storage areas is going to be too far, and whether it takes up too much time, too much energy. So we'll just have to see. But you can see here the base is forming within the mountain. Now one of the things that was slightly annoying is we found this internal cave, and it has created a weak spot in my defences. So we've got a wall here that leads through to the main base. Potentially sappers or people could attack through this zone here, so we're going to have to see how that develops. It may be that we move them further into the mountain for more security and create a bigger kill spot, but as yet I'm unsure, so we'll have a look and see how that evolves as we move on. So further in still, we have the turrets are going into the little kill box here, and I'm also putting in the sandbags so they're protected, but also it takes them longer to get to the guns. If you've got melee attacks, then they have to climb across the sandbags, takes them longer, and more time in which for them to die. I've got this little airlock area here where the temperature doesn't escape from the main living quarters. We've got heaters in the main zone now where the temperature is 34 degrees. It is summer, so we will have to regulate that. And we've got the people assigned to their bedrooms, and Jupiter has broken up from Javert, so that's not necessarily a great thing. Unfortunately, that does happen. We've got little zones where we've got workbenches, more heaters, and the hospital's coming, although there's a fair amount of blood splattered all over the floor. It needs to be cleaned. This little zone here is designed for our medical supplies, so they don't have to run all over the place. So they're being transferred into that zone. In fact, talking of storage, we've got the 2 storage rooms coming together. We've got the general miscellaneous stuff in the second storage room, and then we've got guns, weapons, clothing going into this storage room here. So we'll see how that works. The flooring's going down. We put these pavements down so they can move more quickly along these zones. So hopefully that will kind of compensate for the amount of distance that they have to travel to get to the storage zones. Actually, I'm still not exactly sure whether that I'm pleased about that situation. Our little farm is doing well. It seems to produce enough food for the colony, 6 people. This is a small area, along with obviously any manhunter packs that come in or any animals that we see nearby. So that seems to be fine. We haven't transitioned our research bench, which I put in fairly late into the game because it was pretty difficult trying to get this set up in such a cold climate. It's because we had to focus on things like tailoring and getting power supplies for heaters. So the research took a bit of a backseat, which is what I don't usually do there. Usually we got a research bench going from the beginning. And in fact, Jupiter, Clara and Valerie, none of them have got any sort of research titles. So I was kind of waiting for somebody with some research skills. And Javier, I think, has some research. So he's been doing some research. We've got some projects going like geothermal energy and stuff like that so that we can harness these thermal vents that you find around the map. And there's a lot more graves have been dug. Generally, we're doing well here. And we can see down here, we put a barrier in that weak spot I was talking about. We've dug out here and these rooms. This is going to be where we have the new refrigerator in this zone here. Although most things are refrigerated if they're left outside. But they deteriorate if they are not under a roof. So the base is coming on really nicely. Okay, so with this stage you can see that the separate power supply I was talking about earlier, you can see down here, weaves its way around the map. In fact, we may have connected it here. I may need to disconnect that so they're not all connected together. We want it to be separate so that if we get that short out, then we don't lose all the energy in these batteries here. If you get a short circuit, it wipes out your power supply and you're screwed basically. But you can see we've got the refrigerator going here, and we've got Kyato producing the meals, which is his key role within the colony. He's the chef, if you like. And we've got the bedrooms with the sandstone flooring, which looks really nice. They really appreciate that. We've got pots being built. We've got this internal social area where we're going to have a snooker table go in. We've got the telescope, and we've got other sorts of entertainment in there where they can socialise. The table isn't too far away from the refrigerator where they can go and grab their food and go and sit down to eat. They like doing that. We've got this area here where initially we had all the stones being transformed into blocks to be used for the walls. That could become a bedroom as well. So that's a possibility, and we can move the stone cutter into another area, another facility. The medical bay still needs cleaning, but we've got the medical supplies in the room next to it now. We've got the storage areas are fully stocked with all sorts of things. Beds we're going to sell and move on, and we've got new areas here that are going to be developed, made into storage spaces, which are really key to the efficiency of the colony. And we've got the research bench going into this zone here. I mean, overall, the kill box perhaps could be more effective. We need to make that bigger. I think it will be. I will make this bigger so we can get more guns in here. We've had, say, groups of, say, up to 10 bandits coming in, and they generally wipe out most of the guns. So it's not efficient enough. We need to sort that one out. But what has worked is our potato crops. They have done so well for me over this period, and really pleased with how that's worked. I'm going to build another one of these so that we've got more crop supplies, especially seeing we now have Matthew and Kaz within the community. They've joined. I think we rescued one because I was starting to feel a bit cocky, and I feel like we've got more space within the colony now that will accommodate those. But as I say, we've got to make sure we've got parkers, food, enough power supply to maintain a colony of 8 people. Let's have a quick look up at the original base. Now that has been virtually stripped out. All of the furniture has been transferred down here. We've taken out the wood as well because wood's in short supply. And so that's all gone back into this base down here, where you can see it's evolving nicely within the mountain. It's more protected. It's looking good. The base, the people within the colony seem happy, which is what it's all about. And we then have some other things. We're going to move the research bench down into here. It's already been built, and we'll just transfer Kaz, who's now the main researcher, down to here where he will be researching. Now, let's have a quick look at Jupiter. Character. His construction is 17, which is great. We're getting up there, aiming for that 20. He's enthusiastic about constructing. And he's age 55 now. So his mining is also good. We haven't really done a lot else with him. He's mainly been a constructor, which has been his main role. And Clara's also doing well. Her construction is 17, so that's good. So we've got some quality products in here. Quality beds, masterworks, marble, plasteel. We had a good supply of plasteel. Generally, it's looking really positive. Really enjoying playing this base, guys. I hope you found this video interesting, seeing the growth of a base over a period of time. This is hours and hours and hours of playing, especially in harsh conditions. Like I showed you at the beginning, we're right near the ice cap, so this is not an easy environment, but they've done so well. This group have worked well. If you've got any questions, add them down below. If you want to point something out in my base, do bear in mind I've been battling against the odds, so it's not exactly how I'd want it, but I've still got time to change it and add things and make it the perfect base. Guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.